I'm Tamale Mirundi, Your Excellency. I represent importantly the policy. Mr. President, I'll start with Congo. In the past, you've made precise predictions about events. If President Kabila remains adamant with his thoughts, what is likely to happen? Secondly, I'll bring you back here to Uganda. Mr. President, the biggest challenge to our government today is poverty. Even if we go to the referendum now, the issue will not be between the political system. It will be between perpetuating the poverty or having an alternative government. And it appears, Mr. President, that the poverty has persisted because of government policy. As you try to create the increase on household incomes, the Ugandans who have been earning money, but who have been abandoned, which government has abandoned to the mass, the capitalists. Who are they? For instance, I will give you examples. Most of these Indians who are possessing the buildings, they are thieves. These are not their doing. And what they are doing, they hike the rent, they even demand in dollars. Today, if you were to tour Kampala, you'll find empty premises. And this is not because they are no Ugandans who can use it, but they have been forced to abandon the business because of the high rates, and you don't see any government. And in fact, when you came to power, you told us that the government took their home. But you're becoming the government took their home. Then you have to also, I'll give you another example. This is tendering business. They tendering go to markets. They tendering go to graduated tax. These people, the capitalists, go to banks, borrow money, they get ownership of markets, of graduated tax. They hike the graduated tax because they have to pay the loans, they have to pay the interest, and they have to save money. So the ordinary man is paying a lot of taxes.
Who? You mean the
there is a system of tendering.
Tax collectors are the ones who...
The tendering. For instance, a district that I come from, a rich man can go and tender a district tax, graduation tax. He goes to the bank, gets the money, he gives the district the money, and he employs his own people to collect this tax. So this man is not using his money. He has borrowed the money he has to pay. He has to pay profits. And eventually what happens is that in the markets, if you go to markets for women, most of the women who are earning the living are no longer there because the tax, the rate they have to pay these capitalists is high. And you don't see any government involvement. These people who are working with the government parastatals, who are retrenched. For instance, foods and beverages, I had to raise this issue before 3 times, and that's how they were paying. But we are
Get more fresh air. Give me topic.
Even the public debt, the government has not paid our local people who supply the goods to government. This is 87 billion. So you find that at the same time, as government tries to increase the household incomes, it is strangling people who are getting the money, and you don't see any protection. And people asking what's wrong with the put into abandonment. Because it appears the government has abandoned the ordinary people to the capitalists. Okay. They are not protected, and that's the reason we are facing poverty.
Okay.
Yeah, the last one is
you should ask one question per person.
The other time our Kamira journalists were harassed. We think that maybe this is the beginning. And this is more serious. This is more serious than some of the socialists. Because our Kamira journalists don't have access to information to you. And if the president will allow the president to be said, there will be problems. Because today, our Kamira journalists, tomorrow, it will be those of us who carry notebooks. Yes.
No, the one of checking cameras first. Let's start with that one. I don't know. I don't know what was happening, but it's possible the security can want to check those cameras. There's nothing wrong with that. They should check them, and if they are satisfied, then they allow them. If not, then they could ask some of them to use the cameras of others and so on. But it is that's pure security measure. But they shouldn't stop shouldn't stop, but they can check.
Yes, sir, we have agreed to a meeting between the GPU and the photo delegates. Headed by Mr. People, and work out streamline the way we're going to do.
Yes.
So that's what.
So that one is. Now regarding the predicting the matters in Congo, I don't want to predict because when I predict, then you then you. Oh, this one no. This time we will not take the money, but they will misconstrue it. They will think that I'm the one who's fomenting all those problems. Now regarding the poverty, you see, Mr. Mirundi's question is of course very, very interesting. But what he doesn't maybe know himself is that Uganda is not homogeneous. Uganda is not composed of the same type of people. Uganda is composed of the peasantry as the main force. The main force of the society now are the peasants. They are 82% of the population from the latest census which I saw. Now, the way those earn income is different from the others. What we watch happening? Leave this open, it's better we get more breeze. Open it and hold it outside there. No. What is the problem? So we leave it open, we'll get more breeze. Now, the petitions of Mr. Mirundi are mainly, or the complaints of Mr. Mirundi are mainly the complaints of the urban hawkers and to some extent the civil servants and public servants who were working in the corrupt parastatals and who were retrenched. Now he presents the complaints of these groups as the complaints of the whole country. To him, the country are the hawkers only and these retired civil servants. I think this is not a correct way of presenting the issue. They are part, but they are not the only. They are part, but they are not the only. So your analysis must deal with sector by sector. Deal with the peasantry, then you deal with that hawker class, then you deal with the public servants, then you deal with the industrialists, and you assess then you deal with the small commercial class, the ones who own shops, and then you'll be able to get the position in the economy of each at the moment. It is true that some of them are impacted adversely by the economic measures we took. For instance, when we came into the government, the formal sector of the economy had collapsed, and it had been replaced by the informal sector, by the people who bring things through in handbags from Dubai. From somebody goes and brings the small quantities from Dubai, because the big dealers had run away because of insecurity. Now big dealers are back. So for instance, I will tell you the example of these household items like utensils, like saucepans, like karais. Now, I think there's a fellow called Kalia in India who's now making these items. Industrially. He's now making them in the factory. But you remember 1986, when we came, they were being made in Katwe with Nyondo, with knocking here, knocking there. Because the factory people had run away because of the insecurity. Now the factory people have come back. So the one who was making karais with the Nyondo can now not compete with the karais and the safriyas and the saucepans from the factory. So yes, this one is affected adversely, but the society has benefited from superior industrial products. So I may not be able to respond in detail now, but when it comes to those elections you are talking about, I will be able to give very clear figures as to the performance of each sector. But my advice to you now is that stop lumping the people of Uganda in one category, because they are different. They are different. The peasants are different. These small urban hawker groups are different. So your method of analysis must be in harmony with the structure of the society. But for instance, when I fly in my helicopter over Buganda, over the western region, over Busoga, I see many more new houses of Mabati. And if you're in doubt of this, I will take you. I will give you a lift. Yes, I will give you a lift, and then you'll be able to see for yourself. In fact, in some areas, you hardly see grass huts anymore. In some areas. In other areas, like in the north, like for instance, Lango area, the other day I was there, you are now beginning to see like maybe 5% of the houses beginning to have iron roofed houses, Mabati houses. A smaller number is coming up in the rural areas of Lango. In Acholi, you don't see any new Mabati because of the banditry there. So, to analyze the economy, you must take sector by sector and activity by activity. That's when you'll be able to get a better situation. But from the overall point of view, for me, I'm satisfied that this is the way to move forward, because there's no way you can deal with the poverty without dealing with the basics first, without dealing with the inflation, without dealing with the interest rates to some extent, without dealing with the licensing policy, without dealing with the marketing policy. All those impact on poverty.
Serious radio. Some time back, your friend, President Bill Clinton, was involved in an inappropriate relationship with the lady Monica Westcott. How do you put that context, that Clinton in this case, in the African context?
But the Europeans have got their own way of behaving. They behave like, I wouldn't like to describe it. They behave like they are different people. They are not ourselves. Because to go in the public and say, how did you sleep with a woman? Where did you touch? How? This really is idiotic, I must say. And you see, the Europeans are really new societies. They are not as ancient as the African societies. So, although they have taken leadership in the last 500 years in technology. But if you examine carefully, some of their structures need improvement. Of course, this was out of order. But there are ways you could correct this without imagine Congress people, like myself sitting with my bald head, asking a young girl, where did they touch you? And I've got a tape recorder, and I'm recording this, and secretaries are writing. This is the culture of the Europeans is different. It's not the same with our culture. Because there are ways we handle such wrongdoing. There are ways you deal with this. For instance, it could be a fine. In the past, after like extramarital sex was in the past, he was punished even by death in some cases if it was a young girl. If it was a young girl, if it was not, then they would fine him a cow. They call it a conjure. They would find him a cow. You know. So I cannot comment because really their culture is different, and that's what I keep saying. See, we can share things with the Europeans up to some extent, but in other areas their culture is different, and maybe we should leave it like that. You remember I had told you about recently the bishops of the Anglican Church went to Lambeth conference, and the European bishops were agitating that the church should acknowledge homosexuality. The church, that homosexuals are also people created by God, and that God had a reason why He created them, and that. Now we can't go into all of this, but the Africans stood their ground and said, "Go to hell with you." Yeah, they stood their ground. The African bishops. So the cultural differences between the Europeans and the Africans do not allow me really to make a comparison between what Clinton, the problems he's having. But our interest as Africans is that the only African president to visit, the only American president to visit Africa is Clinton. And that's how we assess him. We assess him politically. We don't assess him bedsheet wise. We assess him politically. Because if you go into bed shitting, how will it help us? How will it help us if there was somebody who did not engage in that bed shitting, but it does not solve Africa's problems? How will it help us? So our assessment of Mr. Clinton is political. It's not private. It's not private. We are looking at him from the point of view of introducing a bill in Congress to deal with African trade. That's how we look at Clinton. We are looking at him from the point of view of his stand on the Middle East. We are looking at him from the point of view of his stand on the Sudan. Like, for instance, me, when he bombed Sudan, I was very happy. That's what I was looking. I was not looking at the bed sheets of Lewinsky, but at how he dealt with Bashir, because Bashir has been promoting terrorism here. This is my assessment of Mr. Clinton. It's political rather than personal.